It's day 47 of our Bible reading plan, and we're reading Exodus chapter 15, 2nd Chronicles chapter 35, John chapter 19, verse 1 to verse 16, 1st Corinthians chapter 3, verse 10 to verse 23, and Psalms chapter 47. We're reading from the Berean Standard Bible. Exodus chapter 15. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and army he has cast into the sea. The finest of his officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank there like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, is majestic in power. Your right hand, O Lord, has shattered the enemy. You overthrew your adversaries by your great majesty. You unleashed your burning wrath. It consumed them like stubble. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. Like a wall, the current stood firm. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy declared, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoils, I will gorge myself on them. I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them, but you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who among the gods is like you, O Lord? Who is like you? Majestic in holiness, revered with praises, performing wonders. You stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them up. With loving devotion, you will lead the people you have redeemed. With your strength, you will guide them to your holy dwelling. The nations will hear and tremble. Anguish will grip the dwellers of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. Trembling will seize the leaders of Moab. Those who dwell in Canaan will melt away, and terror and dread will fall on them. By the power of your arm, they will be as still as a stone until your people pass by, O Lord. Until the people you have bought pass by, you will bring them in and plant them on the mountain of your inheritance. The place, O Lord, you have prepared for your dwelling. The sanctuary, O Lord, your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. For when Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them. But the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women followed her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang back to them, sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they walked in the desert without finding water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink the water there because it was bitter. That is why it was named Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, what are we to drink? And Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a log. And when he cast it into the waters, they were sweetened. There the Lord made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he tested them, saying, if you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his eyes, and pay attention to his commands, and keep all his statutes, then I will not bring on you any of the diseases I inflicted on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the waters. The next reading is from 2nd Chronicles chapter 35. Then Josiah celebrated the Passover to the Lord in Jerusalem, and the Passover lamb was slaughtered on the 14th day of the first month. He appointed the priests to their duties and encouraged them in the service of the house of the Lord. To the Levites who taught all Israel and were holy to the Lord, Josiah said, put the holy ark in the temple built by Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. It is not to be carried around on your shoulders. Now serve the Lord your God and his people, Israel. Prepare yourselves by families in your divisions, according to the instructions written by David. king of Israel, and Solomon his son. Moreover, stand in the holy place by the divisions of the families of your kinsmen, the lay people, and by the divisions of the families of the Levites. Slaughter the Passover lambs, consecrate yourselves, and make preparations for your fellow countrymen to carry out the word of the Lord given by Moses. From his own flocks and herds, Josiah contributed 30,000 lambs and goats, plus 3,000 bulls for the Passover offerings for all the people who were present. His officials also contributed willingly to the people, and priests and Levites, Hilkiah, Zechariah, and Jehiel, the administrators of the house of God, gave the priests 2,600 Passover offerings and 300 bulls. Additionally, Conaniah and his brothers Shemaiah and Nathaniel, as well as Ashabiah, Jehiel, and Jozabad, officers of the Levites, donated to the Levites 5,000 Passover offerings and 500 bulls. So the service was prepared. The priests stood in their places and the Levites in their divisions according to the king's command. And they slaughtered the Passover lambs, while the priests sprinkled the blood handed to them, and the Levites skinned the animals. They set aside the burnt offerings to be given to the divisions of the families of the people to offer to the Lord, as is written in the book of Moses, and they did the same with the bulls. They roasted the Passover animals on the fire according to the regulation, and they boiled the other holy offerings in pots, kettles, and bowls, and quickly brought them to all the people. Afterward, they made preparations for themselves and for the priests, since the priests, the descendants of Aaron, were offering up burnt offerings and fat until nightfall. So the Levites made preparations for themselves and for the priests, the descendants of Aaron. The singers, the descendants of Asaph, were at their stations according to the command of David, Asaph, Eman, and Jeduthun, the king's seer. And the gatekeepers at each gate did not need to leave their position because their fellow Levites made preparations for them. So on that day, the entire service of the Lord was carried out for celebrating the Passover and offering burnt offerings on the altar of the Lord, according to the command of King Josiah. The Israelites who were present also observed the Passover at that time, as well as the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days. No such Passover had been observed in Israel since the days of Samuel the prophet. None of the kings of Israel ever observed a Passover like the one that Josiah observed with the priests, the Levites, all Judah, the Israelites who were present, and the people of Jerusalem. In the 18th year of Josiah's reign, this Passover was observed. After all this, when Josiah had set the temple in order, Necho, king of Egypt, marched up to fight at Carchemish by the Euphrates, and Josiah went out to confront him. But Necho sent messengers to him, saying, "What is the issue between you and me, O king of Judah? I have not come against you today, but I am fighting another dynasty. God told me to hurry. So stop opposing God who is with me, or he will destroy you." Josiah, however, did not turn away from him. Instead, in order to engage him in battle, he disguised himself. He did not listen to Necho's words from the mouth of God, but went to fight him on the plain of Megiddo. There, the archers shot King Josiah, who said to his servants, "Take me away, for I am badly wounded." So his servants took him out of his chariot, put him in his second chariot, and brought him to Jerusalem, where he died. And Josiah was buried in the tomb of his fathers, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for him. Then Jeremiah lamented over Josiah, and to this day all the choirs of men and women sing laments over Josiah. They established them as a statute for Israel, and indeed they are written in the book of Laments. As for the rest of the acts of Josiah, along with his deeds of loving devotion, according to what is written in the law of the Lord, his acts from beginning to end, they are indeed written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. Now we're going to read John chapter 19, verse 1 to verse 16. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns, set it on his head, and dressed him in a purple robe. And they went up to him again and again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" and slapping him in the face. Once again, Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him." When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and officers saw him, they shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" "You take him and crucify him," Pilate replied, "for I find no basis for a charge against him." "We have a law," answered the Jews, "and according to that law he must die, because he declared himself to be the Son of God." When Pilate heard this statement, he was even more afraid, and he went back into the praetorium. "Where are you from?" he asked. But Jesus gave no answer. So Pilate said to him, "Do you refuse to speak to me? Do you not know that I have authority to release you and authority to crucify you?" Jesus answered, "You would have no authority over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to release him, but the Jews kept shouting, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who declares himself a king is defying Caesar." When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat on the judgment seat at a place called the Stone Pavement, which in Hebrew is Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation for the Passover, about the sixth hour, and Pilate said to the Jews, "Here is your king." At this they shouted, "Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!" "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," replied the chief priest. Then Pilate handed Jesus over to be crucified, and the soldiers took him away.
Our next reading is from 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 10 to verse 16.
By the grace God has given me, I laid a foundation as an expert builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one must be careful how he builds, for no one can lay a foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. If anyone builds on this foundation using gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, or straw, his workmanship will be evident, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will prove the quality of each man's work. If what he has built survives, he will receive a reward. If it is burned up, he will suffer loss. He himself will be saved, but only as if through the flames. Do you not know that you yourselves are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. Let no one deceive himself. If any of you thinks he is wise in this age, he should become a fool, so that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. As it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows that the thoughts of the wise are futile. Therefore, stop boasting in men. All things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas or the world or life or death or the present or the future. All of them belong to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. Finally, we're reading Psalms chapter 47. Clap your hands, all you peoples. Shout unto God with a voice of triumph. How awesome is the Lord Most High, the great King over all the earth. He subdues nations beneath us and peoples under our feet. He chooses our inheritance for us, the pride of Jacob whom he loves. Selah. God has ascended amid shouts of joy. The Lord with the sound of the horn. Sing praises to God. Sing praises. Sing praises to our King. Sing praises. For God is King of all the earth. Sing profound praises to him. God reigns over the nations. God is seated on his holy throne. The nobles of the nations have assembled as the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong to God. He is highly exalted. May the Lord bless the reading and hearing of his word.